welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're a subscriber. Today is a cold and slushy day here in eastern Washington. We had a bunch of snow and now it's a little bit warm, so it's been raining and the snow is melting, and they were a little bit concerned that the roads were going to be icy, so they closed everything on campus today. And today was going to be my research day. So now I'm going to have to do research from home, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing because I'm in the comfort of my own home and I can do my research in my socks and no shoes. And a bad thing because I don't have access to the books at the library. So a little bit of virtual research today, and I thought I'd show you what I was going to do. So let's get to it. Clear, I know very little about John Muir. I know that he lives in this house because this house is in Martinez, California, and I lived in Pleasant Hill, used to pass by it quite frequently, but I never went inside, and I never really knew much more about John Muir than he had something to do with Yosemite, and he lived here. So I need to figure out more about this man. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this out and go to the school library website, and I'm going to start with a generic search, just his name. And as you can see, I got quite a few sources that came up, a couple pages worth, and I found some things that were a little bit more interesting than others. An article that he wrote that was published while he was still alive, so that's going to be a source that I'll hold on to and I could possibly use. Here's an article written about John Muir published in 1917, so just a few years after he died. So that's great. I can definitely hold on to this, and because this is a PDF, I can download it and save it to my desktop and read it later. And then here's an ebook about him, which is great because it's an ebook. I can use a keyword search and find things quickly. Sometimes indexes don't have all the words that, or groups of words that I'm looking for, so this is really handy. Yeah, this is definitely a keeper, so we'll save that. Here's a little movie that I found. I don't know if this is really going to be useful, but I'll save the link to it anyway. Maybe I can use it. We'll have to wait and see. And here's an article, this particular author's perspective of Muir's work a century later. Sometimes when we write articles, they like to bring it all the way forward, like the legacy portion. So I'll go ahead and save this link because maybe that'll be helpful too. Really neat link I also found. I just save all my links in a Word document and then I transfer them to the... I know there's a better way, but this is the way that I like to do it. It's more cumbersome. Let's do that. So this is his journals. They've been scanned and they've been transcribed, a lot of them, not all of them, so to make them searchable. I went to the library and I got the books. I have only about 1,200 words to write this, so I need to come up with something interesting to say in every part of it. So that is my outline done. I have to read my books. The first thing I do before I start reading a book is I take down all of the information that I need for building a bibliography in the Chicago style. My research journal for this project. To really get a good proofread, I like to use a program called Natural Reader. That way, I'm not just reading what I think it says, I'm actually hearing it be read to me, and that helps me catch a lot of my mistakes. I found a few mistakes, I fixed them, but I'm gonna run it through the reader one more time just to make sure that while I was fixing one mistake, I didn't miss hearing another mistake. Now to run it through Grammarly. I found a few mistakes, I fixed them, but my biggest piece of advice is not to get emotionally attached to your creation. I have been witness to many students whose feelings are very hurt anytime they get feedback that is not, everything is wonderful and perfect. Because I think that they invest a lot of who they are into their work and they feel that it's a reflection of themselves, and it can be very painful when somebody says that your creation is not perfect. So don't get emotionally attached. But I still want to have the best product that I can have when I go into the classroom. I'm going to go ahead and double check my footnote citations. This is extremely tedious and time-consuming, but it needs to be done. It has to be done. Earlier, I talked a little bit about not getting too emotionally attached to your work because there's going to be feedback coming your way. And I just wanted to give 2 tips on how I handle getting feedback. One, I know that it's coming. So it's not because I think I'm a terrible writer or that I'm just not good enough. It's just a reality of the situation. Everything can be improved upon. My second tip is the difference between somebody providing constructive criticism and somebody being a meanie poo-poo head is that constructive criticism is very specific. They're like arrows and they write on it, or they'll actually say it to your face. Something to the effect of, I don't think that you proved your thesis because you didn't provide enough evidence to this. I'm going to ask a couple of my friends to also share their advice.
So my main piece of advice on taking feedback from a lot of experience taking feedback is just try to be humble. Remember, nobody expects you to be Shakespeare. Like, everything someone tells you, even if it's not worded in a way that's really helpful, is an opportunity to improve. And that's, at the end of the day, the best you can hope for. I draw a lot of strength from knowing a bunch of really good writers who are just as anxious and just as have just as hard a time taking feedback as I do. So I think it's a lifelong process. Yeah, so be humble. Second piece of advice is just to remember that writing and providing feedback are really different processes. So when you've been looking at something over and over for hours and hours and days and weeks, you're not really seeing the same thing as someone who's coming to it fresh and just finding things to give you feedback on. So yeah, just remember they're not seeing what you're seeing.
When you're writing reports in a professional setting, getting feedback is not just about tweaking the writing to make it sound better. Sometimes it can have real ramifications if the reports are being submitted to government agency. So having multiple people view it and get multiple perspectives just covers everyone and makes sure that the best product is going out the door.
So suppose you're about to go out on a big date, or you have a you have an engagement where someone's going to look at you and you ask your friend, how do I look? And your friend says, you look great. And you go to the engagement and then you use the restroom and you look in the mirror and you see a bat in the cave or your nipples hanging out. Think about it. That's how you understand. Would have rather heard it from a friend than a wider audience. Think about it.
That's pretty much my process for writing a paper. If there's some aspect that you would like for me to go more into detail on, please be sure to drop that in the comments section below, and I will try to make another video going into more detail. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.